Okay, the Georgia Bulldogs with a 35-10 win over the Texas Longhorns. Pretty decisive at the end of the day. Georgia really only wound up with 135 yards rushing. 128. I expected a little more from that. Texas wound up going only 1.4 yards a carry, just not good enough. Georgia really bludgeoned the Longhorns at the end of the day. I thought Arch played fine. I didn't think it was anything unbelievable. It wasn't horrid. Um, you know what? I'm not going to do that. That's the field right there. It's so loud. I don't know if that's a great situation. Our friends at So Poly Outdoor Furniture have a great deal for you. You can enter the code DEAN10 and get 10% off as well as free shipping. Take advantage of it. Holidays are here. We got one game left at Georgia this season. I'm not now convinced that Georgia will play I'm not yet convinced right now that Georgia will play a playoff game here. I just don't know that that's going to happen. So that's another thing to keep in mind is as we get ready for, the postseason. This is going to be abbreviated as it's been here lately. I do want to talk with y'all about all these things. I thought there were moments in this game where Georgia had the capability to put the game away in the second quarter. It did not happen. This is sports. It doesn't always go easy. They got off the field on third down a lot more than it felt like. When you look at the stats, it felt like it was a little more difficult. There were some long yardage situations that Texas got out of a couple of times. I mean, Texas was 2 of 12, but they on third down, so pretty good getting off the field, just to be frank. But then they converted. I don't know when the fourth downs were. But look, burying the lead here. I mean, I think there's two things to take a look at. First of all, I don't know which is more important. First of all, you had Gunner going for 5 touchdowns tonight. That's pretty impressive. Like I told, he was 24-29. Wow. 24-29, one of which of the 5 incompletions was an interception. So he's really 25-29 connecting with people. And then I don't have an update on Chauncey Bowens. I don't have CJ Allen, I think, is okay, is what was said. But, when you're responsible for 5 touchdowns, which Gunner was, look, I think he's going to be in New York. I don't think he's going to win the Heisman Trophy, but I anticipate that he's going to be in New York. I think that I don't think this Texas team is beating Texas A&M. I think that Georgia's path to the SEC championship involves Auburn beating Alabama, which I am extremely skeptical of, I would say. I don't think it's out of the question because I think that Alabama is gettable. We saw that tonight. I have a very limited amount of time here. We've given ourselves a deadline, and I'm going to move. This is too loud. But I think for me in this game, you're talking about a Georgia team. Man, I mean, they're definitely, like, this is getting problematic for people that are playing them. I don't think I would pick anybody against them right now. I would not pick Indiana. Ohio State, I might pick Ohio State. I don't think we know a lot about Ohio State the way that we know about Georgia, we know about Bama, we know about Texas and Oklahoma. We know things now. You can't hide in this league. It ain't happening, man. You cannot hide in this league. It is too difficult to do the real work in this league. It's hard, man. I mean, Georgia, Texas, okay, I have a lot to say. We have a deadline, and I'm going to pick y'all up in the car. Folks from Texas, I think, are still getting their way to trying to figure out how to get out of here. There's Ryan. But this was a decisive fourth quarter win. I don't think it had to be a fourth quarter win, but it's not me playing. Like, I'm not the one that's got to go out there and do it. The kids do. That onside kick was something else, man. I mean, Kirby Smart first of all, is something else on a lot of levels. But that decision to go for it on that fourth down, on that. So the fourth down, I would not have gone for it, but I think that they needed to because it was time. They needed to get going offensively. Secondly, on the onside kick, I mean, you talk about a game ender. That was it for that. That was it for that. Like there was no. I mean, it was over. You can feel these things when you're on the field, and you can. There's only so many times this offense is going to get stopped. Like, they're not explosive. But, man, they scored 35 points again tonight. That's a lot of production over and over and over again. You just keep hammering you. And again, it was not the end of the world in terms of what Texas did to defend the run here. We're talking about 128 yards. It's pretty good, to be honest with you. They made us 23 yards rushing. You're not winning a football game like that. You're not winning a football game like that. I mean, you get outrushed by 100 yards, that's one thing. When you got 23 yards rushing, not working. It's good. It's pretty good Texas defense to be, from my perspective. But, like the section here where Georgia sort of really struggled to do much, they went touchdown, touchdown. Then they went punt, 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 interception, and then they became themselves again. Like they went touchdown, 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 and they punted, with Puglisi in there. You're still looking. I just want to do the math real quick here. I don't think it's the 67%, but it's 5 touchdowns, a little bit lower percentage this week. You're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's 50% of your drives are touchdowns. I mean, that's a lot. So we're going to pick this up tomorrow. Thanks. Give me a second here.
Yeah, I know it was an exhausting weekend for everybody. We're picking this back up on the next day. Hey, Georgia with a big win. Scott, Mindy, Zoe, Leslie, everybody at Red Zone was talking about how crowded it was. Tons of Georgia fans in town. You can pick up your exclusive, it's literally exclusive Riding Home t-shirt. I've got one on right now. It's extremely comfortable. No lie there, at Red Zone or online. I thought Georgia, listen, if somebody like me, you got to kind of plan and budget for things. So I think probably Gunner at this stage is looking like New York. I don't think he's going to win the Heisman. I think though, outside of sort of a bad performance against Georgia Tech, Gunner will be in New York because you just have to look at the totality of things. I do think this Georgia team, when I was just looking at it, they did not allow Texas to do anything, and this was, again, not a good Texas offense, but over time, Georgia got where they wanted to go on the ground. Now it was tough, but this Texas run defense was number 2 in the country. I've not checked this morning to see if they are still number 2 in the country against run defense. Gunner just like a saw going. I don't think Ryan Puglisi had a pass. He did not. But just like a mechanical saw going 24-29, 1 interception. I was trying to ask Gunner, so many people at these games that are not. Let me be careful here. I don't know who some of these people are that are at these games, but I don't know. This is our profession. This is what we do. 9 penalties, and some people are just kind of chilling, but whatever. 9 penalties for Texas, 1 for Georgia. We talked about that. So what the value is of Dawg Post is we watch these games. We look at everything that we can look at. We're not coaches. We don't know. I couldn't have the first understanding of what they do as it relates to schematically and foot placement and all these things. That's for someone else. That's not what I do. I'm not trying to be like that. If you want to do that, there's people that are good at that you can go online and listen to what they have to say. That's not what we do. We look at other stuff. We look at the games, statistically speaking. You talk to people that at different places. Texas was always going to have, we talked to y'all about this the whole week. Texas was going to have a hard time winning this game. I mean, I was at Red Zone talking about Texas is going to have a hard time winning this game. I repeated it multiple times. Why? You just watch them. Nine penalties, multiple holdings. I mean, Christian Miller had a lot to say after this game, and then 15. I don't recall the penalty for Georgia. It was a 15-yard penalty. Oh no, the pass interference, which led to a touchdown. So Texas couldn't move the ball. I mean, I look at drive charts as sort of the number one. I look at running yards, drive chart. That tells you where you're at. It's like a P&L and a balance sheet. If you're a business person, if you're conscientious of your weight, you're looking at the scale every single day. As it relates to this, all you got to do is look at the drive chart. Are you productive or not? No. I don't know if Texas had a drive that was more than 50 yards. I don't know. But they kind of couldn't have if they had, I don't know. I mean, the only touchdown that they got, the first drive had to have been more than 50 yards. Yes. Or right on top of it. And after that, and if you don't score a touchdown against these guys at the start. So Matt comes up to us right after the game. Like, we're not together during these games. You have to understand that. I have my click on the field. You know who you are. And, so Matt, Ryan, Dylan chimes in from his undisclosed location as well. Not at the stadium. But, we're not in the same place. So the first time I saw Matt, he had kind of completed the dog post tasks for the night. We tried to get out of the stadium as fast as we could, and I think we did. But he just walks up to us and said, "This team can win the national championship." Like, that's the first time he said that, and that feeling has grown for me since Jacksonville. To some degree in Knoxville, I don't place the value on the Alabama game like a lot of people do. It matters. It does matter. All games matter, but sometimes people want them to mean more than they really do. And I mean, Alabama's whole life is on the line at Auburn. I have no concern, or I will be very curious to watch that game. I'm actually thinking about it right now. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch. I won't have to deal with Georgia that day and all these things. But I am not of the view in any way that Alabama loses that game. Okay? But they got to think about that for 2 weeks now. Their season is totally on the line at Jordan-Hare, where weird stuff happens for them. Not for anybody else, but for them specifically. And Nick can go. Nick used to be really good on College Game Day. I think it's gotten a little bit like, I like Game Day. I don't love Game Day. And I have it on in the mornings, just sort of pastime if there's not soccer on or something like that. But, like, he's going to lecture us for 2 weeks about Alabama going into Auburn and all these things. We have Pat McAfee talking about Pittsburgh. Whatever, dude. It's a neat town. Those bridges are cool. Come on now. Like, Notre Dame was going to beat their ass the whole time, and that's exactly what happened. But their job is to entertain, and I understand that more than most. But this team has the capability now of, they have another opportunity, as Nick Saban would say. They have another opportunity to probably get a top 12 win. I mean, like, Tech is not playing well, okay? Alabama's not playing well. Said that last week. They lose this week. Tech's not playing well either. Like, don't confuse the situation. Just because you have one loss, or you have a spectacular player who probably should be accompanying Gunnar Stockton in New York, in Haynes King, just because you have those things doesn't mean you are the same as everyone else. That loss to NC State was bad, okay? I don't think that Tech is going to lose to Pitt, but I do think they're going to lose to Georgia. We'll see. That crowd is going to be barking and screaming and yelling and all this stuff, but that's another, I was talking, when you do what I do, and you do some of the things that we do for these games, and our commitment to getting, to providing content to y'all that you cannot get anywhere else. You know, Dawg Nation does a good job, and all the .coms and everybody does a good job. But what we're trying to do is give you a slightly different perspective. And a lot of times I run into people in broadcasting and so forth. I was talking to someone in broadcasting before the game, and he was talking about how, he said it could be Kirk and he said tonight will matter a lot as far as, who's going to call that game. It could be Kirk and Chris. So think about that. Now, he said, I don't think it will be because of A&M and Texas. He said, but, had A&M lost today, it might have been those two. I mean, that might have been the spotlight game for the weekend for Disney. And just think about Tech, Georgia. I mean, I could talk about Tech, Georgia for like an hour and a half. Okay? But I'm not going to do that. But what I'm trying to get around to saying is Gunnar Stockton has another opportunity he has another chance to have another 8 million game. Maybe, I don't think Tech Georgia will be like 10 million or anything like that. But like, he has another opportunity to basically capture the attention of the entire country with the Tech game. And so both him and Haynes King, and that is going to be hyped up beyond belief between those two as it relates to Disney. The best, two of the best quarterbacks in the country. And it's true. I mean, they're both really good. Haynes King may die at some stage on the field. I mean, but they're both really good. They are both really good college quarterbacks. And so we'll get the build up to that. But like, I think that's why Gunnar will wind up in New York. I don't think he'll win the Heisman because I think that with what's happened at Indiana and the way that Mendoza's played and the spectacular nature in which they won that game at Penn State. But, he had to. The thing going against Gunnar is it does not seem likely that Georgia will play in the SEC championship game. So you don't get that opportunity to go 3 of the last 4 weeks against Texas, huge game, Georgia Tech, huge game, and then say Bama or A&M. You're probably not going to get that. Now they might. So the future as it holds coming up, you're not. I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty right now. I think the only certainty now for Georgia is that they will, at minimum, host a college football playoff game. Because I think that a loss to Tech, I don't think that stops them from hosting. I mean, it would have to be some catastrophic loss, and anything. Even then, we don't know if Tech would have lost to Pitt. We don't know if there are dozens of variables here, including the possibility that Georgia could be ranked as the number 4 team coming into this thing on Tuesday, and then they don't play in the SEC championship game and they get leapt in this case. That's possible too. So there's a lot going on in the ancillary, like on the outside world of all of this. But if you're Georgia, and the only thing you can control is what you can control, and they controlled last night in a way that Texas had guys, and we said that to y'all all week. These guys, they got guys. These are big bros. These guys are big, and they can move. Texas looks like the real deal. I think Sark's got to figure something out here, because this Texas team is not at all like last year's Texas team. And they maybe, I don't know Texas in a great way, so they may be missing guys that I love people that chirp at me in the comments section sometimes when we're doing Texas. I got these guys coming back. Bitch, your team lost by 25 points. Like some guy coming back, let's just say Colby Young magically comes back tomorrow. That doesn't add 25 points to Georgia. Like, that's not how this works. You are what you look like when you play. And for Texas, they just have not played great. Now, you can't do this, but I'm about to. When you look at Georgia and their game against Texas, and then Ohio State and Georgia and Texas, Georgia beat them by quick math, 18 more points than Ohio State did. Now, does that mean Georgia's better than Ohio State? No, but there's not a lot of crossover games and situations. Ohio State isn't playing Ole Miss and Alabama and Texas. Well, they did play Texas, Ohio State, Alabama. Whatever. They're not going to Neyland and all these things that's involved in this league. It's a lot. I mean, look, Florida sucks, and they absolutely hung with the Rebels, hung with Georgia. They beat Texas, if that matters, and this league is extremely competitive. I mean, it is the NFC East from back in the day when, Dallas and Washington and the Giants and, the Eagles and all of them. I mean, it's tough, man. And Texas has got guys. Alabama's got guys. Ohio State and Georgia. That group of four, they have players that other teams just don't have. Now, Texas got guys in situations. I think Indiana's got guys, and but I mean, Michigan saved themselves yesterday. That was rough. Look, Texas A&M saved themselves. I said to Matt at the half, I said, only South Carolina can blow this game. They're the only team in the country that can blow this game. They did. This is a Georgia team that can win the national championship. Now, I don't know if I can continue this narrative that they're not the best team in the country. I don't think they are. But I'm not certain as much as I used to be. And, I absolutely think that Kirby, these last two games, he's really coached well. In-game stuff. He misunderstood. I don't think he understood. He said he didn't understand my question to him yesterday. I think sometimes he doesn't want to understand the questions if he doesn't want to talk about something, and sometimes maybe I don't phrase things quite the right way. I don't ask a bunch of questions. Y'all should see me during these press conferences. I got stuff flying around everywhere, photos. I mean, we're not even close to being done with things, and it's 10 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday. But he has done, I don't want to say a masterful job, but like against State, he basically stole 7 points with the drawing offside tonight. Just the fourth down, go. That was huge. I would say forget the onside kick, but that ended the game. And he's done really well lately. And I mean, like, he really does a very good job. The best job that Kirby does, and I can tell this just from my time in collegiate sports, is they're way prepared. Nothing bothers these guys. They are, I guarantee you their condition sessions, they are mentally so much stronger mentally, in my opinion, than other teams I see, and way more than a college student. You know what I mean? So, like, you saw it. It was touching to see the behind the scenes with Lawson and his brother and the Lucky brothers. You think about what Lawson, thinks about every day. What that's like for him. And you think it bothers him if it's a 3rd and long or something like that, or if they lose? Like, there's other stuff that you got to be prepared for in life that sports can teach you. And I think that they are doing an exceptional job of, like, because that is not changing. Lawson can't make things better, It's what it is, and you have to live with that. And then, that's not easy. So the notion that at the beginning of this season, it was, at the Marshall game, I was like, okay, now even at G-Day, I was like, they got some explosion here. Can you get Taylor back? And I don't know. We only get Kirby once a week, and it's, and we won't get official injury reports. I do want to mention, I spent some time yesterday with Greg Sankey and some of the other sort of reporters that are, regional, national, whatever. And I asked Greg, about I mean, sometimes he definitely is a very good advocate for the Southeastern Conference. He advocates in a major way. I gotta say, I agree with him about, do we really need the conference champions in there? We want all 16. Whatever it is, we want at large. I don't know that they're ever going to get that. I do think there's value in winning your league, but I don't know that we'll ever get the straight up 16 at large. Them in the Big Ten kind of got to figure out what the future is, and it's hard to tell that because you have, corporate partners in Disney and News Corporation or Fox. But one thing, there's a deer. Wow. East Side deer, man, they do not play. This is where I run through here, and this is where deer will just hang out at this turn here on the east side. One thing that I asked him a couple questions, but the one thing I asked Greg was, would y'all start the season earlier by a weekend? He went kind of where I didn't expect him to go, which is we need everybody to start on the same week. Like he said, I really like the Dublin game. We've explored that, probably meaning the league. But the reason I asked that is, if you're going to go, they have gone to 9 games. And now, you got Tech as well. And then, Georgia got Louisville next year. I thought they'd cancel that game. I'm not so sure they are now. So you're talking about Georgia going to play, in 13 weeks, they're going to play 11 legitimate games, okay? That is a lot. Even though these guys are getting paid, that is a lot. And I just wonder, can you start the week before Labor Day and kind of get it going a little bit? Maybe you have a conference. I don't think it's out of the question to play a conference game that week. But what his response to me was, he goes, I get a bunch of emails in September about how hot it is. Like, what's he supposed to do about that, y'all? Quit emailing this guy about the weather. He said, I'm sure I get it even more in August. But then he said, everybody's got to start on the same week. He said opening day, he said, I don't know rec league, I don't know college, I don't know any other sport where everyone's not starting on the same day. Well, the NFL, everybody doesn't start on the same day, but it's the same weekend, and I think that's probably what he meant. So, I mean, I think that is coming. Like, all the change that we have seen, and if you're this deep in the video, you know how this goes for me. I start talking about stuff that's more 40,000 foot. All the change, you can see it on the sideline at Georgia. These have become events. John Hamm is in town, question mark. Obviously Matthew McConaughey, Megan Maroney, who I did not know who that person was. I saw Quavo. We got Widespread's lead singer. It's just like the gamut of musical what your musical tastes are. We got it all Georgians. It's just people don't know how good it is here. They don't know. Now Austin's awesome too, don't get me wrong, but everything's changed, man. Like, these sidelines are booming with people, and I know the university is probably just selling the right to get, selling the access there, and that's their prerogative. But this has become beyond a big business. It's become huge business, and these schools are not nonprofits. I mean, they're just not. So we gotta quit acting like the kids. Like, I remember 25 years ago, we weren't going to expand it because of academics or some whatever, and this has become a huge business. And the people profiting from it are people like me, Disney, Kirby, the players, the administrators, the people in town, Scott and Mindy. But this has become a business that I bet, I remember, the budget at the University of Georgia's athletic department in 1999 was $39 million. Okay? $39 million would not run the football program now. That was 25 years ago. Now, 25 years before that, the budget at Georgia was probably, I don't know, in 75, it was probably, $8 to $10 million. But it does seem like the exponential growth is just so palatable. It's very noticeable. This is the show now. People don't go to Falcons games, man. They don't, people don't. This is, you're going to be seen now. That's what this has become, and don't take that as a judgmental thing. It's become that big. Think about Quavo. Okay, if you don't know who Quavo is, Quavo grew up in Gwinnett County, went to Meadow Creek, Berkmar, excuse me, and he and his two other buddies formed a rap group called Migos, and Quavo was sort of a huge star of the group. One of the guys passed away in the recent past, but Quavo, there weren't multiple huge artists on the sideline at Georgia. There are now. I mean, it's all the time. And I don't think, Quavo is not going anywhere. So it's just become what it should be in many ways. Georgia, Texas, Ohio State, Alabama, probably SC. SC can't get their act together, but that's okay. Maybe Michigan. There are certain places that straight up just should be powerful. Georgia's one of those. They are powerful in a way that Ole Miss and South Carolina could never dream of. And that's what you saw Saturday night. You saw the combination of competence from a football program, the understanding of selling that competence, that this is the front door to the athletic department. The football program is the front door to the institution. That's why I would have Kirby out there more if I were Georgia. I would have the most visible and probably popular person in the state, exclusive of the Techwood area. I would think that I would have him more out there to sell this institution. But they're choosing not to do that, and that's their call. But at the end of the day, this has become huge in a way that college football was not this big 20 years ago. It just wasn't. And Urban Meyer at Florida, it wasn't like this. It just wasn't. And Gunnar Stockton's not Tim Tebow. He's not, but Stetson Bennett probably was. If you just take the religion out of it, because that's a lot of Tim Tebow's popularity for sure. But the story of Stetson and all these things, and things have just grown in crazy ways. I feel for Arch Manning. I feel for his parents more than I feel for him, because everybody wants their child to be exceptional. He is exceptional. Okay? This guy's starting in the SEC. He's just not an unbelievable quarterback right now. And that's fine. How many kids are the starter at an SEC school? And God, man. I mean, it's got to be challenging to be the parents right now. I mean, overwhelmingly, because I'm sure it's challenging to be Gunner's parents, and I mean Stetson's mom and dad, but and nothing like this though, man. This guy is getting it constantly, and I think he did, to me. I can't see down. He did about all he could do last night. They're just not good. Texas. They are probably an 8-4 team. If they're 9-3, Georgia's going to go play in the SEC championship, probably against Alabama, but it could be against Texas A&M. There's no telling. I don't think it can be Ole Miss. I don't know. But this next couple weeks will be very curious. I mean, you still have some important games to go, and then Tech Georgia. I mean, listen, I'll say it the same way. I don't know what the line will be, but it's going to be close to 10. That Georgia will be favored over Tech. Look, Tech's going to have to really play well. They can't stop anybody. And this Georgia didn't play great on offense last night and scored 35 points. This is not great. This is not what they did at Mississippi State. And I warned y'all, but y'all do need to start figuring out what the situation is with some of these games, these postseason games, because it's probably 50-50 that they play that they host a home game, because I just don't know, what they'll how they'll punish the SEC runner-up, because that could be Georgia, but it'll probably be either A&M or Alabama. So Tuesday night does matter, because if Georgia doesn't go in front of Alabama, and to be honest with you right now, I know Alabama beat them, but I don't know how you can have Georgia behind them right now. I mean, they have the win over Georgia on the road for sure, but they lost to Florida State, and like this at some stage comes into more basketball looking at things rather than just, oh, this is just head to head and that's it. Like, because you're gonna have to reconcile some things along the way that don't make sense. Like, how can you have Notre Dame over Miami when Miami beat? Well, I mean, Notre Dame's better than Miami right now. I understand that Notre Dame might be better than Texas A&M right now, but you can't have them over them. So there's all sorts of things going on at once. I've rambled on too long, like a Led Zeppelin song. So I'll wrap it here. This is a really good Georgia team. I think what is lingering in the forest that we don't know about is Ohio State, and to some degree Indiana. I mean, everybody else in the league, Georgia's either played them, they played Texas, Alabama, and Ole Miss. And they ain't played Oklahoma. But, Georgia probably beat Oklahoma. I don't think it's a certainty. But I think Georgia, I got to go watch Bama OU. I didn't get a real great shot to look at that. But it was a big night in Athens, and this thing is becoming bigger and bigger, more luxurious and all these things. And I don't mean that like in a judgy way. It's just become huge entertainment value. And we try to provide a little entertainment for y'all too. Whenever you see us, stop us and say hello. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.